that's one more queer story they've heard. And so for some people this is freaking first one. For some people this may be their millionth one. But I everybody needs to hear this. There's this thing about siblings that I always wonder about, like especially with twins and stuff. Sometimes you'll not even sometimes. If there's a twin and one is gay, I want to do a study on what's the chances the other one is too. Because I know yeah, you know a lot of gay twins too.
Yeah.
It's like, what is
but
that?
I will say, so my sister, I was adopted. So.
Oh, okay.
She was my best friend. And remember that family I don't talk to anymore? So
yeah.
they kicked me out for being queer. So her family took me in when I was 16. We've been best friends since we were like 8 years old, maybe longer. And yeah, so now I'm actually gonna be taking their last name pretty soon. Just to.
That's a freaking whole story.
Yeah, they're awesome people.
Heck yeah.
You gotta write a book.
Yeah, you really do. That's a freaking great story. Like, you know how it is. Some people don't have that kind of story to tell. But man. So are you, I don't know if this is like a bad or weird question. What kind of like haterness have you gotten about it, if any?
About specifically being queer, not much. Like if I go to certain parts in Seattle or like a lot of places in Washington, like people don't understand why I'm calling myself that, and they're like, you know, sometimes people get like angry, like, you know, how dare you call us that? I'm like, no, that's how I identify, and they're like, you're just stupid, you don't know. That's about it. Like, it's because in their community that's not an okay word to say still. But overall, I get more flack for saying that I'm bisexual because there's that stereotype that we're like cheaters, or, you know, you can't date someone who's bisexual, even if no matter what the gender of the other partner is, because we're just gonna cheat on you. We can't have, you know, good relationships, or yeah, there's a lot of stupid stuff like that. Honestly, I think sometimes I do say that I'm queer to kind of like guard myself from that too.
Oh, from the bisexual static?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, the bisexual static.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, where you got a lot of heat from that?
Yeah, I've had people just basically tell me they don't want to date me anymore because they're like, well, I'm just afraid you're gonna cheat on me. I was like, does that look like me?
That concept never makes sense to me because it's like everybody cheats. That's not exclusive to bisexuals.
No.
Like, they don't own the rights to that.
Yeah. You can ask Stephanie. This is probably like the most, I guess, like rambunctious I usually get. I'm usually pretty quiet. I'm very quiet nerd.
I don't know. You yell stuff at work.
Not anymore.
We'll just yell at each other randomly at work. Yell out some queer shit. No.
Yeah, but you like it.
Y'all got a queer workspace almost?
It's actually very queer.
It's very queer. Yeah.
A third of our office is queer.
At least
a third.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's better than when I worked at a restaurant, and you know, the only queer people were the people who I was sleeping with. So
nobody's fucking each other in the office, not to my knowledge. So
oh yeah. Yeah, don't sit where you eat.
If you got a workplace that's like queer friendly, that's like the best, because you're there all the time when you work, so it's like good to feel comfortable where you are.
Oh yeah, well, and there's also a lot of people of color there too, which is for Portland kind of rare, honestly.
Yeah, Portland's #so white.
Oh god,
pretty much.
Oh, yeah, I didn't expect it. Like, I mean,
Portlandia, so that makes sense.
I when I moved here from Spokane, I kind of expected a little bit more of diversity. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna move somewhere where there's not so many white people, which it's not what happened. There's just so many white people here.
So many white people.
It's all right. We're exotic around these parts, which makes could make dating easier, could make dating harder.
It depends. I'm pretty white passing, so if I need to
Yeah,
get
I'm
away
pretty
from it, I can. Yeah.
Man, so note to self, I don't have any business in Portland. Okay.
No, you gotta come and make it less white.
Right?
Yeah.
That's my whole life, making
That's my
places
goal.
less white.
That's fine.
My whole fucking life. Just
I
make
do what I can, but it's like I'll walk into a space and like half the people be like, I don't know what she is, and half will be like, that's a white chick.
I get the
get
same
those-
thing.
Yeah.
Thing.
My wife gets the same thing. Everybody's like, what ethnicity is she? And she's like, white. Pure
Yeah.
spirit. So, what kind of goals do you have for like the world and queerness? Like, do you want one day to leave your bisexual identity, your pansexual identity behind and be able to say to somebody, I'm queer, and them to accept it like they accept me saying I'm a lesbian?
I mean, ideally, I would say that I would love to be able to go anywhere and be like, yeah, I'm queer, and people are like, yeah, cool. I can kind of figure out what that means, and even if it's just like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means to you. But like, we're humans. We like to label ourselves. We like to label ourselves down to this small parts because it helps us to recognize ourselves and other people. And so if some people I know say I'm queer because they're non-binary, and someone else, they want to know also I'm non-binary, and so that they have that community of people who understands them sort of on that fundamental level. And I like telling people like I'm queer, like, oh, I'm queer too, but I'm bisexual. I can talk to them about that and kind of have that camaraderie, like, the struggles that I go through, specifically the struggles that I go through, because I don't go through the same struggles that non-binary people go through. I'm a cisgendered person, so I know, that I don't understand anything that they have to go through in that respect. But we would both identify as queer because we know that the other people are likely safe people to talk to about those queer identities.
Right. Is there, how like when people say lesbian, it's like Ellen, Rosie O'Donnell, da, da, da. Are there openly queer people in the media?
I would say yes, but I don't know who calls themselves queer. I might be wrong. I think I heard at some point, I think I heard Ellen Page say that she might identify as that, but I know that she's also lesbian. And so I'm not certain who has come out and said I'm queer, but I do know, gay, lesbian, non-binary, pansexual, bisexual people in media. And for me, when I look at those people, I look at them as queer representation. Because for me, queer representation is just more non-cishet people.
I
think the only queer person I know who's come out and actually said they were queer is Kalani, and she's a music artist.
Okay.
Not much use of the word.
That makes sense. It's like queer's everything.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nobody who's just like queer. Like, I'm representing.
Yeah, I would say like if you, and I might be wrong, like there might be a part of the country like I've never been to that I don't know the people there, but I don't, as far as I know, isn't anybody who's saying I'm queer and having that be its like own identity.
Do you think the community needs more of that?
I'm not certain what it would mean. Like if you say you're queer, what does that mean for you? Because for me, I'm queer, but I'm bisexual. I'm queer, but I'm non-binary. I'm queer, but and there's it's like saying, I'm a woman, but I'm also a trans woman. Like you're still a woman, but you have that experience, like kind of like a sub experience that a cisgendered woman or assigned female at birth woman wouldn't know.
That's true. That's right. That's your specialization, your category for your story.
Exactly. It's your your area of specialty.
This is a story about a little skinny black woman, but also a lesbian, but
Right.
also a little baby dyke, but also a little soft foot.
Babies.
Exactly.
Got you. Okay. Well, you know so much. I have so many questions. I don't want to bombard you.
No, ask away. And it's funny because I feel like I don't know anything, and then you talk to people, you realize like, okay, maybe I do know a little more. So ask. If I don't know the answer, I'll tell you.
And
opinions,
don't think about it as much as like what you know. I want to hear your story, and I want others to hear your story, because I feel like if people see you and hear your story, that's one more queer story they've heard. And so for some people this is freaking first one, for some people this may be their millionth one, but I everybody needs to hear this. That's how I feel. And
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
and it's more important for the people who it's their first story.
Yeah.
So let this be somebody's introduction. You don't have to tell it all right now. So
I'm in book, so yeah, you can ask me anything.
So I'm curious about the pansexual thing, because I only know one other person who's pansexual, and it's just like they said it in passing, and I didn't question it. What is that like? What is that?
So that's been a journey to kind of figure out too. Again, my very first introduction to even the term pansexual. Don't make fun of me a little bit. So I was watching Doctor Who. I don't know if you've seen that show. Captain Jack Harkness, pansexual. But so I think a lot of people have the idea that like if you're pansexual, then you're attracted to everybody and everything at all times, doesn't matter. But like everyone has things that they're more specifically attracted to. Like, I'm less attracted to white men. I'm more attracted to men who are of almost any other ethnicity. But women, for me, it doesn't really matter. I would say that pansexual is just that gender and your biology doesn't really have a factor in deciding whether or not you want to date somebody. So your sex and your gender aren't factors, and that is where I got confused a lot too, because when I first started flip-flopping between those two terms, bisexual and pansexual, for me, because it mostly centers around your gender and your sex, I was like, okay, well, I'm pansexual because I like, anybody who's of, non-binary gender, or male, female identifying, male identifying, but, also female identifying, but male bodied. Like that doesn't, all those combinations of things didn't really have a factor for me. If I liked that person and I thought they were cute, I'd probably date him. But then in that class I was talking about, we were discussing people who, if there is a, like, let's take, a hypothetical person who is, she is a transgendered woman, and just for the sake of a lot of people, I want to include people who have a lot of dysphoria about their bodies. Let's say she is still, like, I guess, clinically male bodied. She may not feel, and this is, I hate speaking on a lot of these topics because I don't have, like, this is not my experience, and I don't like putting words in even hypothetical people's mouths. But I don't want to, like, come up to her and say, I'm bisexual, I'm I'm attracted to men and women. She may be in a liminal space where she's like, I don't know if you would be attracted to me because I am female presenting, I am female identifying, but I technically am male bodied. And that's something that she would have to, like, ask me. If I say that I'm bisexual, she might be like, I have a thing I have to tell you, and it could be really uncomfortable to talk to somebody about this, like, personal thing, like, upon first meeting. So then I started going pansexual for a while because that to me included more people without having to have them feel like they had to disclose personal things about themselves that for me, they did not need to disclose, because it only mattered whether I liked you as a person. And I'm clearly asking you out, so I think you're cute. So they didn't have to like cross that bridge and make themselves feel uncomfortable to someone who at that point was a stranger to them. So that's why I went pansexual for a while. But then I also started talking to people who were like, well, if she identifies as a woman, she's a woman. So why are you, flip-flopping between that? And it just got to be this thing where I was like, most of what I'm calling myself is just trying to make other people comfortable. And so I started calling myself queer because that was, for me, it encompassed a lot more of how I felt, but it also didn't have, I don't have to think about it when I talk to somebody and have to kind of specify like, this is how I identify and this is how you fit into that equation, because it shouldn't have mattered,
That's a good point that you said, like this is how I identify, this is how you fit into the equation. When you say queer, it's like everybody can apply. Like I'm taking applications from everyone. And so that now I see the need for that term.
Yeah.
I get it now. Well, I learned. Thank you.
I know. I talk to you about this at work and here and then, so I'm just like, let her do her thing. I asked all my questions at work.
I never sat down and honestly asked myself, what am I attracted to and how does that fit into my sexuality? Because I can sit here and I can say I'm only attracted to women, but
not every woman.
Yeah, no, every woman. and I'm glad you said that, because I got to start thinking like what I think of a woman and what everybody thinks of a woman may be different. Am I attracted to all women? And it's like I'm thinking about it and I'm like, yeah, there's been I've been to a drag show and been like, can I take her home?
Right.
Like this might be my first time, but can I take her home? Like, and it's like, I'm not letting parts get in the way if you're not. Like, if you're presenting as people say, because this is new to me, I didn't know people presented as men or women. I didn't know that that's a term. If somebody presents as a woman and I'm not married to my wife, they can get on board.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? What does that make me, Like, I'd still like to identify as a lesbian because, like...
Well, it depends how that other person identifies. Because there could be people who are... actually, what really comes to mind is there's that stereotype in media of, like, the sassy gay best friend, right? He's a man, and he identifies as a man. But a lot of times, in order to, like, make him non-threatening, they'll make him, very female-presenting, like, have very... effeminate tropes about him. They'll typically like make him raise his voice a little bit. So you can be a man, you can be a cisgendered man and still present more feminine, But that really kind of comes into what our idea of what masculinity is, because that man is still masculine, but he presents a lot of traits that maybe I would be more attracted to than what is like considered stereotypical American masculinity. So I don't think that we have like a full hard definition on a lot of terms yet, because I think as far as, the transgender community is concerned, if you're female presenting, you're a woman presenting as a woman. It doesn't matter anything else, So
I think there needs to be a whole reevaluation of like sex in general, not just like this sub that we're talking about, like LGBTQ plus. Like, we need to start talking about sex more.
Oh, definitely.
Because then people can make these decisions early on and be comfortable changing them or like coming into them. I wish I would have known this if I would have known this when I was younger, who knows what I would be right now.
Yeah.
You got me thinking so much now. Because I'm like, all women. I don't think I'll turn. If somebody's presenting feminine as a feminine person, and I'm still a lesbian then.
Exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, that's good. It's good to know these things. So let me ask you this, and then I'll let you go.
Yeah.
You know, what would you say to the bisexual person, the pansexual person, people who were in your shoes, you know, kind of like maybe they need to make the transition into queerness or they don't know yet? What type of things do you wish you would have known then, or like any kind of books, like what do you say to the people who clicked on this video because they saw queer and they were like, I need to know more?
Yeah. Okay. So honestly, I would say first and foremost, like, let yourself explore yourself. I felt especially when I was younger, like I needed to fit into some kind of box, and I needed to be like I was bisexual, and then I thought I was just gay for a while, and and then I realized no, I'm still kind of attracted to men. It just depends on the guy. Um, you know, Allow yourself to kind of grow. Don't try and box yourself in immediately. Talk to your community. See what is your community's opinion of queerness. Can you talk to them about it? Do you if you feel like you don't necessarily want to fit into one specific box, or if you feel like in order to properly explain your sexual identity or your gender identity or your queerness in general, and it's going to take you 5 minutes, queer is a good umbrella term.
Try if you don't want to sit around explaining to everybody what you're into, try queer.
Exactly. And then when you get to know them a little bit better, you can sit down and like lay out your spreadsheets.
Word. That's the best commercial for queer I ever heard.
Try queer.
Right.
Try queer.
Try queer today. Side effects include nothing. Not having to explain yourself all the time.
Fucking whoever you want. Cool.
Right. Not having to exclude people because you. Nice. Well, I appreciate you really opening a lot of doors for me and like explaining everything. Don't worry about anything you said. I will stand up for you. Just let everybody know she is not queen of the queers. She's not here to like school everybody on queerness. We asked her to tell her story, and I appreciate it.
I don't speak for everybody. This is just me. So like, if you're going off a sample size of 1 anyways, I don't trust you.
Right. Don't at her if you're trying to like use her as an authority. You need to question yourself if you're using one person as an authority on queerness. Like, don't come for her. Step up and get in contact with me so you can be on the show too.
Yeah. Yeah, we want to hear your story. Even if you're like a conservative queer, a conservative gay.
Oh my God. Totally listen to that. I'm
yeah.
What? Thank you. Do you want to plug anything? You want anybody to follow you?
Yeah,
single?
if you want to support, I am single. Well, yeah, I am single. So
Yeah.
but,
Hey.
yeah, if you want to support queer local businesses, I own Wild Fawn candles. So buy candles.
There you go, people. Wild Fawn candles. I will have so many links in the description. And
Yep.
support those queer business owners.
Support your local queers.
Yeah, support your local business owners. Support your women business owners. Like, check. Come on.
Yes. Person of color business owners too. Minority-owned businesses. Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's get it. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This has been really nice. This is a great experience. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, come on anytime. All right. Thanks.